Good afternoon. It's Thursday, October 19th, and this is the Education Culture Committee. I'm Chair Will Jawando, and joined by my colleagues, Councilmembers Albernaz and Mink. And we have a couple of items, MCPS-related items on the agenda today. We will first have an update on student academic performance, something obviously we're all keyed in on and concerned about, and look forward to hearing that update and ask them some questions. And we will also talk about a review of the Board of Education's adopted budget and the implementation of the FY24 budget and what that means for where we are and where we're going. So I'd like to invite our speakers for the first item to come on forward, and we'll introduce you momentarily. When we started the committee earlier this year, we've been focused on understanding the student performance needs of our students all the way from early childhood to post-secondary. I sent a letter to Dr. McKnight and to the team outlining three kind of big areas we wanted to focus on: data-driven decision-making, focusing on outcomes and accountability, and providing timely and accurate information. I really appreciate the school system's partnership with us to provide that, along with the school board. I see Lynn Harris from the school board here. Good to see you, and other members of the MCPS team. And working with our staff, I think we've made strides. We have made strides in expectations for what allows us to do our respective roles appropriately. Earlier today in the Education Culture HHS Committee, we discussed a very important issue of prioritizing ending childhood hunger and the role MCPS in our broader community will play in that. We know that the FY24 budget was a challenging one, and they always are challenging budgets, but this one was especially challenging, particularly as it relates to the MCPS budget. But I'm grateful for my colleagues and the work that we did on this committee to put forward what I think was a robust recommendation to full council. Obviously, that's what we can do, and then we do what we can at the full council as well. We know there's a lot of work to go forward to sustain and build academic success. These things are connected. It's good we're talking about them together, right? The budget and academic success. Whether we like it or not, the FY25 budget will be here before we know it. So it's good to kind of get a midpoint review and look at both the performance and where we are on the budgetary standpoint. So with that, unless my colleagues have anything they want to say, I'll turn it over to Ms. McGuire just to tee us up, and then to MCPS. I know there's a couple of presentations.
Thank you. And yes, for the first agenda item today, as you mentioned, the Board of Education has been receiving throughout the year, but particularly from August and through the school year, a number of presentations, a sequence of presentations on student outcome data. Twice a year, the board receives evidence of learning data. The board will actually receive the data from last year next week. So today will not, of course, be that full presentation, but what we are going to be able to hear today is really just to sort of follow through some of the sequential pieces of the pathway to career, community, and college readiness that the school system works through to analyze student data and student progress data, and of course to report that to the Board of Education. So this really is sort of the first, in the Education and Culture Committee's ongoing efforts to really, again, follow through that student data, student achievement data monitoring in sequence with the board, and then of course being able to carry that information forward as you look towards resource and other decisions later through the year and throughout the cycle, and working that through with the agency.
Thank you. So MCPS colleagues could introduce themselves, and then we can start with the presentation.
Sure. I'm Peggy Pugh, the Chief Academic Officer for Montgomery County Public Schools. Good morning. Afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Nikki Hazel, Associate Superintendent, Curriculum and Instructional Programs.
Hi, good afternoon. Keisha Logan, Director for the Department of Pre-K through 12 Curriculum.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Peggy, are you going to lead us off?
I am.
All right.
Thank you. So to introduce, we appreciate the opportunity to come before you because we, I think, have a shared goal in making sure that all students in Montgomery County public schools are able to achieve and perform. And that takes a considerable amount of effort. I think that we are all recognizing that we're not where we want to be through our end of year data at the conclusion of last year, but with your support, a number of changes have taken place to allow us to try some new strategies and be really focused in a laser-like way. In accordance with the theory of action that we've been following, we're really intentionally differentiating resources for our schools to make sure that the schools who have the most learning needs and the largest gaps have the most resources. But we're also focusing on building staff capacity and our own capacity. We had an anti-racist audit that was commissioned by the Board of Education and by the superintendent that our families and our students and our staff told us that what we were doing was not working. And so that caused a significant amount of work to occur to say, what do we need to do and how can we do this better to make sure that our students are supported culturally and academically, and that we are attending to the data. And that our teachers are prepared to use the strategies that they need to use every day to work with our diverse students. So you asked 3 questions in the packet, and just looking at those together a little bit last night, they're really first and foremost for us as well. So the first question was, to what degree are we able to identify the explanations or causes for low school performance, and for schools that have improved, and for schools that have not yet experienced improvement? And we can say, yes, we are able to identify the explanations behind these things. We've done some significant changes, first with our new school improvement process that really dug deeply by school into the data, where each school selected very specific math and literacy goals and wellness goals, culture goals for their schools based on their own root cause analysis and a strategic process that they've gone through. That will include monitoring throughout the year and adjusting as needed when we're seeing things work or not work. Another piece that has been systemic is our anti-racist system training for both leaders, centrally, leaders at the school, and then most recently for teachers in the schools during their professional day. Last year we were here and we spoke a little bit about the shift to science of reading, and for us that's structured literacy, that explicit teaching of early literacy skills, which is different from what we used to do, which was balanced literacy, where students had opportunities to do a lot of reading and they were given strategies. You know, if you don't know the word, guess the word, figure out what makes sense using context clues. And basically what the research said to us is, no, it really is a strategic, logical process to teach literacy. And it needs to go in order, and there's some basic fundamental things that need to be included. We'll talk a little bit about that today. The second question, so as they share a little bit about each of the data slides that you'll see, they'll highlight some of the efforts that I just previewed. The other question, have best practices or suggested strategies been identified through the experience of other similarly situated districts? It's kind of a challenging question. There's not many similarly situated districts, at least locally, but there are some who have demographic similarities and there are some who have size similarities. For this, what we can say is, yes, we do attend to what's happening nationally, but also locally. Specifically, we know that Howard County, the mathematics coaches that were part of last year's budget, they have more of them. So there's a smaller coach to school ratio. We're looking for the results that they've been able to achieve through that approach. Also, the shift to reading, that is a national shift that's occurring across all school systems. And we do believe that in literacy, for us, some of the data would say our students do outperform Prince George's County, which is a closer county to us, and the state of Maryland in our early literacy. So we're seeing some beginning results in what we're doing with that shift. Some of the best practices for English learning across the country, which was confirmed by our Center for Applied Linguistic study last year, without the data, but really talking about what are the best practices. We do know that co-teaching is a solid strategy that is used by a number of districts, both locally and in districts who have similar demographics, and we are seeing early results for us as well. we have co-teaching in our elementary schools, and we can say that our Hispanic Latino students and specifically our emergent multilingual learners outperform Prince George's and Maryland in grades 3 and 4 on the MCAP literacy exam. And so those early pieces that we're beginning to see making a difference for our students, we need to learn from them. We need to expand them and hopefully continue to see the progress. The third question that you had was, how will we evaluate? And I think that was a theme all of last year. What is the accountability in this significant investment that the council is making? So we have a number of ways to do that. Similar to a teacher, we can do it formatively on the daily, looking at the information that we have that's saying, is this working for children and for whom is it working? We do that at the school level through instructional, through that school improvement planning process where they're looking at the data as it's available. We also are doing it through direct feedback, through visits to schools, providing feedback to teachers, the mentoring and coaching that's now possible through the math coaches. Those things are going to make a difference to make sure our greatest needs are being met. And then we have formal evaluations. You may have seen back in August the presentation to our board that listed those things that are going to be under formal evaluation this year. Our Office of Shared Accountability for our office, most of the things that we do are evaluated, but specifically structured literacy and the difference that that's making for children will be evaluated. Our math and literacy curricula to ensure that their high quality instructional materials are available for students and teachers, and then the math coaches. Math coaches are new, so it won't necessarily be outcome, but it'll be implementation. And what are we learning early in the year? So I frame those big questions that you had, and what you'll hear throughout the presentation is as what we've done and where we acknowledge and with you are committed to improving student performance for all students. It is not where we want it to be, and this is a call to action for both our families, our students, our schools, and our community. It's important to note that the striking achievement gap that you will see is not new. It's an achievement gap that has been historically there, but it is something that we believe that we can address. We have enough information from our families that say what is not working for them, and for our students to say what they need in the classroom, to believe that our efforts will make a difference for all of our students. We also want to acknowledge specifically that it's our Black and brown students who are not achieving with the supports that we currently have in place, and it's our students who receive language services and special education services. We will be able to share our official evidence of learning end of year data. What you have in the packet is the transition data, the middle of the year, which allows us to then adjust our approaches, our instruction, and check on how students are doing as they transition to those grades. And so on the 26th, we'll be sharing the evidence of learning end of year data with our board. So we look forward to coming back, can share that information with you, and discussing our intentional next steps. We do want to thank you for your continued investment in public education as the economic and moral imperative that it is. And we have a shared goal of improving student performance. Next slide, please.
Just before we move on, I
Sure.
just want to, before we get too far, and I know I've heard you say it the other way, and it's synonymous. I just would prefer we say opportunity gap and not achievement gap, because achievement implies that, as you know, that some
Something we
students are
didn't
doing
do.
better than others. Opportunity implies what is the actual situation, that there's different varying levels of opportunity, some of which are related to being in the school building, some which are not, but that all kids obviously can achieve given the right support. So I know you know that, but I just want to say that for our public and just try to make sure we stick to that.
I do appreciate it. Thank you. So the outline for today's discussion, as it indicated, the Pathway to College, Career, and Community Readiness was created as a framework to make sure that we are transparent and clear, that our parents and students and family and community understand where our students are along a trajectory through our schools. We are going to talk a little bit about what's on that. We'll share a brief amount about what's on the assessments. We'll quickly go through the data and our analysis, and then we'll spend a significant amount of time on the differentiated supports that are available in the resources, our next steps in the discussion. Next slide. So this is the pathway for college, career, and community readiness. It is research-based. There's a significant amount of research that was put into this to ensure that these are the markers that show if students meet these benchmarks along the way or milestones along the way, that they are on the right track, that they are on a good trajectory. To illustrate each of these data points, we are going to be talking about the first three categories. So we'll be talking about early literacy skills, reading by grade 3, and we're sharing today the grades 4 and 5 data. It's important to note that in Montgomery County, 44% of the students enter school ready to learn, as measured by the KRA. And those numbers are also disproportionate, beginning right from the minute that they walk into the schools. To frame this, we'll share the information about each of these assessments and make sure that we understand that we know in advance that there are gaps, opportunity gaps, throughout. In each of the data sets, you will see that the pattern is repeated. Next slide, please. So the first measures, or these are the three measures that we'll talk about, that will share all of the data, the disaggregated data. And if necessary, Dr. Addison is here and can provide the research behind why these measures are the measures that were used. But this framework, again, when you talk about evidence of learning, and we use multiple measures, grades and external measures and internal measures, it's a lot of data. We wanted a significant amount of energy went into making sure that this was clear, that our families know that if our student is falling below one of these, that is a call to action, and that we are here to help, and that our community is here to help if students are below the arrow. So just to orient you, the arrow is all of the academic indicators up through K through, or it's actually K through 12. And then along the bottom, you'll see the pictures. Those pictures are core competencies, and they were developed in collaboration with the universities at Shady Grove and Montgomery College, and Worksource Montgomery has been working with them too, because these are considered core competencies for career readiness. And so we are building out an intentional focus that it is academic experiences that students need, as well as experiences that will help them develop those qualities that make them hireable, that make them able to gain a life-sustaining wage and able to keep it and maintain. Next slide, please. So the DIBELS assessment, it's important to know that it's used by schools and educators to understand growth and progress with those foundational skills in reading in K through 2. The measures of academic progress is also a reading assessment, and it is in our grade 3 that we'll be looking at it, that includes some comprehension data. So foundational early reading skills, then in grade 3 beginning to make sure that they are ready, have enough literacy and can read well enough to shift to the reading to learn model, which happens after grade 3. We switched. These 5 components of reading are not new. These 5 components of reading have been around for a very, very long time. But intentionally, we know that our students were not succeeding the way that we wanted to see them succeed. And so we significantly adjusted the program, and hundreds of teachers, thousands of teachers, went through a significant amount of training. Last year was the first year of full implementation of doing the science of reading and structured literacy. And we do believe early results show that students who have been in that for a full year have shown advantages. We are looking forward to seeing great progress on that, but I think it's important because there's a lot of confusion around what the science of reading is. It's not just phonics, and it's not just phonemic awareness. It is truly explicit instruction that is sequential, that a student goes through. We do understand that there are students who did not have the benefit of that structured literacy approach who are now in the 3 through 5 or higher grades, and so the DIBELS assessment is an assessment that we can use that will give us more information about how students are doing and what foundational skills they're missing in order to progress monitor and supplement those gaps. The DIBELS and the MAP all measure progress in these, and MAP actually, except for vocabulary and comprehension, and MAP adds the vocabulary and comprehension. So between Kindergarten and grades 3, we are measuring each of these areas to make sure that our students are on track. Next slide, please. So the DIBELS, and I'm sorry, I called it by a name and used the acronym, but it is the Dynamic Indicator of Basic Early Literacy Skills. And we actually here combine that with the Lectura, which is the Spanish version, so that we're assessing early literacy in a student's first language as well, so that we are understanding whether or not they have early literacy and foundational skills in their first language. So the early literacy skills help us understand and help teachers really have discrete information about the areas of literacy, letter naming, phonemic awareness, sounds, and making sure that we are intentional about what we're doing in instruction to address those early gaps that we see, and also to analyze programming. Do we have the right resources to help with phonemic awareness? Are we providing enough nursery rhymes, and are we doing that reinforcement of sounds? Next slide. So here's the percent of kindergarten students who at the end of last year were meeting the DIBELS or Lectura benchmark. You have the information in our all kindergarten and then by race and ethnicity. Well, 72% of the all met at or above the benchmark in the spring. Also, more than 70% of our Asian, Black, African American, 2 or more races, and white student groups scored at or above the benchmark. And although the percent of our Hispanic Latino students scoring at or above the benchmark is 55%, there was a significant increase. So you remember they came in, and they came in 44% ready to learn, with disaggregated or disproportionate amounts of students ready to learn. And then at the end of the year, 55% of our Hispanic Latino students showed that they had met the benchmark. If you go to the next slide, here are the improvements that were made across the year. We're really proud of our teachers and our parapros who went to the training all summer, who implemented the work, who shifted their instructional practice. Some had been doing the same way of reading instruction for 20 or 30 years, and really they embraced it. They took the challenge and used the resources, and they are seeing results for their students. So we're really proud of the work that's happening at our school level. As you notice, it's 24 percentage points for kindergarten from beginning to end, 17 for our grade 1, and 10 for our grade 2. But one key aspect of this that's interesting is it's not a stable measure. So, for example, students at benchmark at the beginning of the year, when they came in, they had to earn a 306 in total on the composite. At the end of the year, they had to show a 420. So they had to have had explicit instruction in order to grow as much as they needed to from the beginning to the end of the year. If they don't have that explicit instruction, you're not going to see the improvement like this. Though that milestone focuses on kindergarten, we did want to include the grade 1 and 2 data, and you have it disaggregated in your appendices if you want to look at it closely, so that you have a full understanding of our primary literacy in the appendices. And next slide, I'll turn it over to Nikki.
Okay, thank you very much. So just going back to that question that you all asked us about the impact of the strategies, we do feel really confident with our primary students that the change we've made district-wide to implementing structured literacy is really showing some really good results. When we've been meeting with our consultant around the assessment and we look at the data across the nation, MCPS is really making some really great gains with our DIBELS assessment, with our foundational skills. So we feel good about that. And we want to acknowledge that the changes in with the budget, with our resources, instructional resources, the training that was provided to the teachers, and our change in assessment really did help move the progress of our students. So now I'm going to talk about our students in grades 3, 4, and 5 for literacy and mathematics. And as Dr. Pugh said, the data looks very different. We are as concerned about it as you are and want you to know that we take it very seriously, and we have put in collaboratively across office, we have put in some very strategic action steps to move the data for this school year, and we're going to go through that. I'm going to go through the data, and then Dr. Logan is going to talk about the action steps. So the first, if you will recall the pathway slide with the arrows, the next measure that was on that was grade 3 literacy. And we want to make sure with our students that all of our students at the end of grade 3 are reading and comprehending text independently, and that they're able to demonstrate what they have read through writing and through discourse. And so we measure that with our MAP assessment. MAP is the measure of academic progress in reading, and we are looking at a Lexile score. So the Lexile simply means the ability to be able to read and comprehend at a certain complexity level, and for each grade level we have a certain range that we want our students to be in. So if you go to the next slide, you can see here for our grade 3 students, and these students spent the bulk of their pandemic year they were in grade 1 for virtual instruction that year. So they 59% of our grade 3 students reading at proficiency level last school year. And you can see there that we have 82% of our white students reading at grade level, 78% of our Asian students, and then you can see the shift to 54% of our Black African American students and 34% of our Latino students reading at grade level. So certainly we are very concerned about that. And when we dig even deeper to looking at our students who receive services, our special education students are at 30%, and our students receiving English language development services at 24%. I do think it's really important to note that for our students receiving language services, that about half of them in 3rd grade are beginning level 1 or level 2. So they're just beginning to acquire their English language skills, and we need to keep that in mind as we are assessing them with these standardized assessments. Again, Dr. Logan's going to really get into how we are addressing the needs of our students, particularly Black and Brown and students receiving services. If you go to the next slide, we'll talk about our grade 4 and 5 students, and again, our goal for them to be on grade level for literacy and mathematics. For grade 5 students, they are being assessed through our state assessment, which is called the MCAP assessment, or the Maryland Comprehensive Assessment Program. And again, literacy, really looking at our students to be able to have strong literacy skills with fiction and nonfiction text, to be able to analyze text. And then with the mathematics, we want our students to be able to respond to multiple step problems, explain how they solve problems, or explain how someone else is solving a problem, and then using the tools to demonstrate their thinking. So the next slide shows our grade 4 and 5 students who took the state assessment, starting with mathematics, and you can see
Ms.
that.
Hazel, I just want to make sure we understand. If you go back to the last slide, the 2 slides ago. Sorry, Ms. McGuire, I know. These are 3rd grades. These is last year's data. So
Correct.
these students are 4th graders now.
Correct.
Just to be clear. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. And
These
same
are-
thing going forward with this the 2
Yes.
slide that we're on. So it's so these, you can keep going, Ms. McGuire, one more. So these are 5th and 6th graders now.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
So if we can just kind of orient you to this slide here, this is looking at mathematics. We have the 4th grade data on our left-hand side and 5th grade on the right-hand side. The first 2 bars on the left-hand side are MCPS, 4th grade, so this last year's 4th graders. In 2022 data, 4th graders, 37% of the students were proficient with mathematics. And then last school year, 2023, 43% of the students were proficient. These are two separate cohorts of students. Okay, so the 23 group is now in 5th grade. And then next to that, you can see how the students performed in Maryland. And then all the way to the right, you can see our 5th grade students last year. The last year's data in 2022, 36%, and then in 2023, 39%. So whether we look at the state data or the district data, we know that we have significant concerns. I think certainly coming out of the pandemic, mathematics was the area that we saw a lot of concern for our students in not making the gains that we would expect. We are going to talk about the very specific actions we are putting in place this year to address the mathematics plan. If you go to the next slide, yes.
As we're looking at this graph, when we look at the far left purple bar, is that the same cohort as 2023 MCPS Math 5, which is so 37.7 to 39.9? Is that the same cohort of students? Or
The 2020,
the 2022 though in 2023?
the different groups of 22. Is the 2022 group cohort of students the same as the 2023?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, it is the same
No.
cohort.
No, so my understanding, because I see her fingers pointing, so the
Okay.
purple on the left, the 37.7, those are 4th graders in 2022, and the purple on the math 5, the 36.7.
The blue on the math.
I'm sorry, the blue on the math 5.
Right.
The 2023, that 39.9.
Yes.
That is the same group.
That's the same group.
Yes.
Fifth graders. Okay.
Yeah.
So so they improved very, very slightly. I don't know if it's okay. Yep. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, so if we can go to the next slide for our English language arts in grade 4. Same group of students. You can see in 4th grade in 2022, 54.2% were proficient, and then the next cohort of students, 57% of students were proficient. You can see Maryland data there, and then in grade 5, 49% of the 5th grade students were proficient, and 50% in 2020.
So that was the same students went down the following year, and then in both categories, correct?
Yes.
So those same groups, just so we're talking
Correct.
the same,
Yes.
okay. And so that'll be obviously something you'll talk about, I'm assuming, your strategies, okay.
Okay. All right. One of the things that I do want to point out as we look at these data points, and anytime we are looking at assessments, we are looking at it around what is going to inform our practice and what information can we gain. One of the questions that we ask is how close are these students to proficiency? And so as we looked at the data previously, those 2 previous slides, one of the things that we discovered were that the students, 17% of the students were around 2 questions short of meeting proficiency. So that tells us some information, and as we dig a little bit deeper, we can then look into what standards our students seem to do well with and what standards our students seem to be struggling with. That informs our professional development opportunities at the district level, and also schools have this individual school data where they can really dig in, so it informs their planning practices. And so it also informs how we approach our instruction for our students. So I do think that that's really important information. We have a significant number of students that we feel are very close to proficiency as we move along.
Could you just, I think that's a really important point that gets obscured in the data sometimes, that these high stakes tests there's a cut score of proficiency. It's just you make it or you don't, right? And what you just said, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that, and I would look, there's a significant number of students who are close to, are only a question or 2 away from meeting the proficiency standard. Is that
Correct.
did I
That's
say
exactly
that
right.
correctly?
Yes.
Do you so you know what that number is?
So for every grade level,
It's different.
it's different.
Can you give an example?
17%, 16%, but we know the students, we know what percentage, and for every grade level and every school actually gets a list of the standards where they scored very high in comparison to the district, in comparison to the
Right.
state, and the standards where they didn't score very high. So that actually informs our schools in particular around the work they need to do with their teachers and in their planning and making sure that their students are really understanding those grade level standards.
And so the next slide that you were just on, explain what this slide is again, not the one we're on, the one, explain
So
what this
this-
is.
The next one?
No. The one we were just on, there.
Okay, so I have two more slides and then I'm going to hand it over, but these two slides represent how our 4th and 5th grade students perform when you look at math and ELA together.
Right.
So the question becomes, what percentage of our students are proficient with math and ELA? And so when we look at our grade 4 students, you can see there that 40% of the students are proficient in
both.
math and ELA.
Right.
And you can see there 66% of our Asian students, 64% of our whites, and then of course our great concern are our Black African American at 27% and our Hispanic Latino at 18%. So that is the area that we are really drilling into as we do our work. And if you go to the next slide, you can see similarly with our grade 5, 36% of our students in the entire grade level are proficient in both math and ELA. Again, drilling down to our students we're significantly concerned about, Black African American and our Hispanic Latino. And the one thing I do want to say also is we don't have our English language development data here, but we do know that for our students who are receiving English language development services, when they are near exiting level 4, they are demonstrating proficiency with these grade level standards and these standardized assessments. And so our goal for our ELD students are really to make sure that we are working with them, the teachers, to build their content knowledge and their academic language so that they can exit and be proficient. And we're seeing the results for those students once they are exiting our language programs. So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Logan to talk about what we are doing.
Great, thank you, Ms. Hazel. So you've now seen a lot of data, and it certainly serves as a call to action, as Dr. Pugh stated, but it really is a call to action for us to be deliberate in how we're using these data to inform our response, to really meet the needs of all of our students. What are we doing that's working? And the data gives us some indication of that. What's working for some students but not all students? And then what needs to be done differently? And so what I'm going to do first is highlight some things we're doing differently to specifically address the needs of our students who are receiving services. You just heard from Ms. Hazel, and as you can see in the data, our students who are emergent multilingual learners are EMLs who are receiving language services, as well as our students receiving special education services, require a new and different approach from our teachers to be able to meet their needs. But the first thing I want to do is to put a face to the students whose data you just heard about and just saw. One of the pathway milestones that was just elevated for you is that we expect that all of our students will be reading proficiently by the end of 3rd grade. Our current 4th graders, whose data you just saw, were in 1st grade when the pandemic hit. And that was right at the time where those foundational skills in both literacy and mathematics were being honed and developed for our students. That was disrupted. The other piece that I think is important to note, just to provide context, is that was also a time in our district where we were in the process of introducing new curricula at the elementary level. So many of our teachers were undergoing professional learning and learning how to approach instruction with these new curricula, Benchmark for our elementary reading and Eureka for our mathematics, and also doing that while pivoting to virtual instruction. It certainly does provide context and some indications of how students were learning as we look at these data. But we can't also ignore that our students have faced a collective trauma with the pandemic, and we needed to explicitly provide learning and experiences for our students academically and addressing their social emotional needs simultaneously. And so that has required certainly some pivots in professional learning for our teachers and provide additional context to these data. So with this in mind, it's essential that we are deliberate in how we're addressing the needs of our students with a strategic focus on our emergent multilingual learners and our students receiving special education services. The first change that I want to highlight for you is that we have revitalized our school improvement planning process so that schools are setting goals for literacy and mathematics that are really centering the needs of these students as well as our other marginalized groups of students, our students who are Black, African American, Hispanic, and Latino, and being strategic about how they set goals based on their individual school data to see growth for students in those groups. So we have provided professional learning to our leaders and to our schools around creating SMARTY goals that are specific and measurable, but we've added the component of they need to be equitable as well, inclusive, and really taking into account knowing the students as well as ensuring that teachers have what they need to know their content. And so that process is new for our leaders. We've provided some professional learning around what that looks like. And then we follow through with our accountability by going in, meeting with principals, visiting those classrooms, seeing how that data is actually playing out in instruction in the classroom. The next specific action is around strategic professional learning, again, centered and grounded on students receiving services. And when we look closely at the data, and we're looking at the data in many different ways, these assessments tell us specifically that our students who are receiving language services specifically need to build their vocabulary skills, and so we're designing professional learning around that, as well as language comprehension. And we want all of our teachers to see themselves as language teachers. That is something that we need to ensure that we're providing in all of our avenues for professional learning for our teachers to be able to see that, be that, and deliver instruction to meet those needs. I think it was Dr. Pugh who started talking about research around co-teaching. This started for us last year, where we have gone deep into those strategies for our general educators and our special educators on how they plan together to meet the unique needs of students and then deliver instruction in a way where instruction is moving forward, but we are still taking time to know our students' data and close those gaps in the classroom. It is not something that is easy to do, and that professional learning at the district level and then with our staff development teachers, our reading specialists, and our language teachers in the building at that school level as well to reinforce and to provide feedback. And then finally, we've used some of our funding, thank you, from the council and from our Board of Education to put in place some additional special education supports around specially designed instruction. So specially designed instruction is how we adapt content and the delivery of instruction to meet the unique needs of students who have IEPs, those individual education plans. So for example, how are teachers adapting instruction to meet the specific needs based on the IEP? So if a teacher is delivering a lesson on fractions, the teacher may model for the entire class how the concept of fractions being parts of a whole. However, based on a student who has an IEP, that specially designed piece for that student or those students may call for them to have some sort of tactile representation or manipulative to be able to really break that concept down. And so there's an element where the special educator and the general educator will work together to ensure that that specific experience is designed for that student in the classroom. Again, that takes professional learning and reinforcement in the school building. And so we've been able to provide those additional resources, and that is something that is new. And finally, a large component of our professional learning, I've mentioned this briefly, is we are called to ensure that our teachers have every tool, every strategy that they need, along with the expectation that they are differentiating instruction to meet the needs of their students. And so how are you looking at data when you're meeting together to plan? What questions are you asking that are keeping equity at the center, but also ensuring that you are looking at what students need when you are differentiating? And what are the structures in the classroom to be able to do that? Because it is not an easy thing to provide grade level, standards aligned instruction while knowing your students well enough to close gaps as you go. And so that has been a focus, really starting last school year into this school year for our teachers. And really shifting the mindset, again, that this is possible with intensive supports. If we can go to the next slide. So Dr. Pugh really framed around our theory of action. Our theory of action grounds us in our work and how we're approaching the response to providing schools and teachers what they need to be able to address student learning. But we're really excited about some of the, again, new pieces that we've been able to put in place starting this school year. So, for example, with the funding from the County Council, the Board of Education, we've hired 12 instructional math coaches. These instructional math coaches, 8 of them are at the elementary school, 4 are at the middle school. I'm going to talk a little bit more about their roles specifically in a moment and what we're already seeing as far as results from these coaches in the building. But we are very excited about this as a new approach to being able to support our teachers. Additional funding has also been allocated to provide us with paraeducators. We have paraeducators in 83 elementary schools who are tasked in our kindergarten and through second grade classrooms with providing one-on-one and small group reinforcement around foundational literacy skills. And so they work closely with the teacher, but when that's another way that we're able to help to differentiate instruction by having those paraeducators in our classrooms to be able to support, to get the students what they need around their foundational literacy skills in K-2. When we do think about our shift to structured literacy, again, professional development is absolutely essential to building the capacity of our staff. Last school year and this school year, our teachers, and this is all of our teachers at the elementary level, have engaged in explicit professional learning around the science of reading and how that impacts our shift to structured literacy. What should the instructional block look like in a K-2 classroom? And what are you doing in 4th and 5th grade when you have students, as you can see from the data, who are coming to you who still have these gaps that need to be addressed in instruction and who are not yet reading proficiently in 4th and 5th grade. We do provide, our DIBELS assessment is available to our teachers in 4th and 5th grade, so they have received that learning as well. It's not just for K-2, because if we have students who are reading below grade level, that assessment can be used to monitor their progress throughout the school year. And finally, for accountability structures, right? These accountability structures have to be consistent, they have to be in place in all schools, and they have to be happening with a real strategic focus on student data and student improvement. And so again, the school improvement planning process I talked about before, that we've revitalized around our goals and centering those EMLs and centering those students who are receiving special education services, working with the principal supervisors to be in there talking about data with principals and leaders, being in those classrooms to see what this looks out, and collecting that data to inform us about where we are and what needs to happen next as far as professional learning and support. We can go to the next slide. And so here's where I just want to give a little more details about our new instructional math coaches. Again, we have 8 of them at the elementary school that are supporting 32 schools. And the feedback so far about these coaches has really been tremendous from our teachers and from our leaders. And so our new coaches really are intensively focused on the cycle of planning to teach, preparing to teach, implementation of instruction, and then monitoring progress, helping teachers to look at data, asking those equity-centered questions about what students are demonstrating and what more they need that next day when you go back to use that data and instruction. They're at the tables with teachers, they're in our schools. Each of them have about 4 or 5 schools that they support. And they're really providing that true job-embedded professional learning, which we know that research says is the best way to move teacher practice, to help teachers to grow, to meet the needs of all of our students. And so we're excited about that. It's something new. As Dr. Pugh said, implementation will be evaluated this year, so we'll be sharing that with you. But what we've seen initially has been very positive, and we do think it will yield positive results for our students as well. With that, I will turn it over to you, Councilmember Jawando, and for any other questions or discussion.
Thank you very much. Obviously, very sobering data. And I appreciate the acknowledgement from you all that, this is the core work, right? This is what we're here to do, and also putting the data in context of, the state. We didn't have the national, but if you had the national numbers up there, it might even be worse, or pretty similar. It's a personal discussion for many of us. I have a 4th grader who is right in that set, and I know how hard it's been for her to be on track in reading and math, and with a lot of support at home and externally. And I don't think we can. It's not an excuse. It's just a fact. These kids that are in 4th or 5th grade now have gone through something that no one else has gone through. And not only that, but the educators, and that's why the national and state and local data looks the way it does. Now but we are called to change that, because regardless of that, we know you switch from learning to read to reading to learn at 3rd grade, and if you're not there, you start falling behind very quickly. So we have a short window for a lot of these kids. And then when you look at the disparities, 22% of Black 5th graders are proficient in math and reading. 14% of Latino students, 5th graders in our county, proficient in math and reading. That's an emergency if I've ever seen one. I have, those are, so I appreciate the urgency in which we're attacking this, but I'll ask a couple questions, then turn to colleagues. And part of this discussion feeds into the next discussion about, like, these interventions are going to need to be multiple years, right? You're not going to, I would love to see everyone catch up and make dramatic gains in 1 year, but we're going to realistically need multiple years of intervention. So how that feeds into what our plans are in the budget going forward, the things that we've pushed. If I'm correct, I actually hope I'm wrong, but I think I remember those instructional math coaches. How are they paid for within the base budget or one-time funding? Okay, good. There are some positions, though, that are addressing this issue that are one-time funding. And so we'll dig into that when we get into the budget conversation. But one of the things that I've heard, and I'll start with parents, because we always like to make sure they know they have a voice in these discussions, is that many parents are not aware how far, where their students are, and that they're having these difficulties as soon as they think they want to be notified. So could you talk about, for the population of students that are dealing with these issues, trying to catch up, and all the interventions that you're putting in place, which I know we'll ask about, but just the getting on board. Obviously, a critical part of that is getting the family, the folks at home, to know what's going on and to be as supportive as they can be, or to reach out and engage with school resources. How could you talk about how that's interacting with these data and how you're approaching that?
Yeah, I'll start at a high level and then I can, for specifics. The high level piece is we understand that school is complex. We're educators, and even taking our own children through school was complex. Navigating how are they doing and how are they doing in relation to others. And that is why that new pathway was created, to be able to articulate, socialize, and say, parents, if your children are not hitting these key indicators at this time, it's time to ask for help. And so one of the things that happened at the beginning of this year that was new is the pathway was introduced to all families at the back to school nights, and then the information was prepared for with input from our community. And I think you have this in your sheet, but it's really for families to say, okay, what are the measures? What does my child have to get? And then what are the questions that I ask if they haven't met them, or if I want them to achieve at a greater rate? Really trying to engage families so that it is a partnership, because learning doesn't just happen in school. It happens at home, it happens in the community, and it happens intentionally at school. So this is a key piece for us as we share it publicly, also sharing what the students receive. So they also receive individual reports, individual student reports for each of these assessments. And you could read all of the complex language on there, and you could go through it, and you could see the normed data, and you could see a whole lot of information. But it's also color-coded. And so if you look and see where your child is performing on any of these measures, and it's basic or below basic, that's an alert. That's an early alert that says your child's not at the level that they need to be. Engage with your school, engage with your teacher, seek additional supports and resources, and do what you know to do as a parent. Keep reading, keep writing, do the homework at home. So those are some of the early alert systems that we have. We also have very intentional approaches while students are in school by our teachers, right? So if a student is well below or below, then there are a specific set of steps that they're to take in terms of getting more information about why the child is performing at that level. And then what specifically do we have instructionally through we have very high quality instructional materials. What do we have that can address that child's specific area of learning?
Was there anything? I mean, and I would just add on to that. I appreciate that, the color coding. I've noticed those. I think that's important. I mean, but we're in a context. You're saying if the students, in the context of some of these numbers, you're in classes where 80% of the students are not, so the whole class basically needs to be geared towards how to, catch up. So maybe you can talk about how that you did the day of the life. Like, what's that look like for a class where 80+% of the students in front of that fifth grade are not proficient in either reading or math?
Sure. So this is where some of the leader learning that I talked about comes into play, because we are working with our principals, our reading specialists, and other staff development teachers, other leaders in the building, because these types of communications need to be made available at each school, right? When you think about these questions that parents will have and the information that they need to feel comfortable that the school is going to be able to provide that information, and the classroom teacher. So when we meet with our leaders, we provide them with the resources and the questions that they need to be thinking about, then sharing with their teachers around, this is how we need to communicate with our teachers. And we have several avenues to be able to do that through our parent view, through now we have the Remind app. The expectation is set with our leaders at a district level that they're working with their teachers at their schools, that this communication is happening, and that we can't necessarily wait for parents to come to us, that we need to be bringing this communication forward. And it's actually a part of how we approach school improvement planning, is to share this progress and information with parents so that they really can partner with us in the work. And so this leader learning, I think you happened upon one last year, if you remember, where we bring everyone together.
Bound to spend it somewhere else, probably on what are somewhat worthy cases. The challenge is that's where some of the transparency and accountability to me comes in, where we really need to hone in on this to really understand what is the lapse assumption, what has been the historic trend, not just on what you're budgeting for lapse, but on what the realized lapse number is, and let's work together to figure out exactly what you truly need, because, the reality is, if it's just a cushion at the end of the day, then it isn't a transparent and accountable process. So that's the next phase of this, of really honing in and thinking about that, at least from my perspective. But I think this is really helpful, and why this committee session has been a real positive for both the school system and I think for the council, because now I have a much better idea of what we're talking about when different numbers are thrown around and percentages of lapse and where it comes from. There are different categories, and those are different percentages, and that means different things. And I at least understand that a little bit better.
Can I just make a comment on that? And it's a good point. But as you know, we're going into this year with no fund balance. We're the only school district that doesn't have that. And I'm not saying that that we need a cushion, but let's say we make an assumption on lapse and we're wrong. I just don't want to be in the situation where we can't make payroll, if it gets that close. So I understand what you're saying. We want to hone in on that lapse number, but without a fund balance, an assigned fund balance, it puts us in a precarious situation. If let's say inflation is worse than we thought and we're running, bigger deficits in other areas. That's just my comment.
So if I could just add a couple of comments. One, the committee did have a lot of discussion around the end of year categorical transfer, and there were just a couple of points from that discussion that I think might be helpful here. One is that even following the end of the year closeout, following the appropriation of the 23 fund balance, following the additional funding that was taken from the unexpended funds into the group insurance benefit, once all of those actions were taken, the school system does begin FY24 with, if memory serves me, approximately 10 million, it might even be more than that, of unexpended balance that wasn't reappropriated but does certainly exist as a resource for the school system if needed, that the council can appropriate if needed. So that is unexpended funding that does exist, and fund balance at the end of the day is just unexpended funds. So that is what it is, and I think certainly different districts have different approaches to different things, but that 10 million does exist, again, not as appropriated for this year but as a resource. What the council did do was change its assumptions around savings that needed to be achieved next year. The other piece that I just wanted to highlight also, Mr. Friedson, in your point about the trends over time, for that committee work session, we did also do an analysis of the amounts transferred in and out of each category over, I believe we did 10 years. I'd have to look back at it to remember. And really the trends show generally some consistency, which I think again gets to sort of some of what you're pointing to. In addition, though, we also saw that the trends tend to be that the operational categories, particularly maintenance, plant, some of those categories tend to be the ones transferred in that need the resources, and again, those overages do tend to be experienced more in the instructional and administrative categories. So again, just in terms of trends, and we can bring those back for more specific discussion, but just thought it was relevant in this conversation.
I remember reviewing those. That's where that comment came from, so thank you for highlighting it. And yes, I mean, I think the fund balance area is a big thing that we should be talking about. I think lapse is part of that. These are assumptions that we're essentially making, and I just want to make very clear, and I think there is universal agreement on this, the school system is never going to be in a position where the county government is going to allow it not to make payroll. So let me be very clear. Let everybody know this. Let everybody hear this. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind. I don't think it is even remotely close to ever coming to that. But if it did, the county government would step in to support the school system, as we always have and we always will. So I just want to make sure that is very clear. I understand it's your job to make those scary points, but it's my job and our job up here to reassure everybody that won't happen. But we do need to continue to work hard to address the trends, because to me, suggesting that you not fully spend certain money or over appropriating funds in certain areas that could be moved in other areas, it's just not a good way to budget for anybody. It puts you in a vulnerable position as a school system where residents understandably are frustrated and get upset. And it puts the council, I think, in an unfortunate situation where, we don't feel like it's as transparent and accountable as we would want. So I think we can do better. I think this is a good start towards doing better, but I think, obviously this is a process and there's more work to be done, but I thank you for that, and I appreciate you allowing me to join today, and I'll yield back to you, Mr. Chair.
And if I could just respond quickly. First of all, I appreciate the assertion that you're not going to let us miss payroll. Our goal, of course, is to never find ourselves in a position where we have to come hat in hand to the county council in that situation. So we were just kind of discussing here the unassigned fund balance at the end of last year going into this year, this current year, was $8.2 million. And then just one final point, and while I agree with you that this absolutely deserves further scrutiny and that we need to be as transparent as we can, just reminding the committee that we are talking about less than 1% out of the overall budget. And so you're never going to hit it dead on the head. So being within 1% is something that I'm comfortable with.
Thank you. You actually made my point for me. I was going to say that we want to be looking at all dollars, but 55 million, or even depending on which category, which apple or orange we're looking at, but is in the context of your budget is not large, but we still want to be making sure that we're doing what we need to do. And as we said during the committee discussion of the fund balance, we appropriate the money. We're going to be here for you as we always are. I understand it's your job to be concerned about that. You want to make, I understand. I understand. I know you lose sleep over it, and I get it. It's because you care about the system, so we all do. So really appreciate this. I think it's a really good start to the discussion, a lot earlier than we've ever had at the NC committee. So we're going to keep it going, and thank you for your transparency and the work, and we will see you all soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. With that, we're adjourned.
To Georgia Avenue, Maryland 97.
Due to a construction project, Ridgefield Road will be closed in both directions on or about